When custom GPTs won't behave, Spring 3.2 abandons half the Java ecosystem, Q-Star and OpenAI, and the usual collection of silly tweets, toots, and skeets. Welcome to Tales from the Jar Side. My name is Ken Cousin, and welcome to my weekly newsletter. If you don't feel like reading it, that's okay. I'll be happy to read it to you. Or think of this more as a director's cut. So let's jump right in. So this is the Tales from the Jar Side newsletter for the week of November 19th through 26th of 2023. Probably 27th, given that this is Monday and the newsletter comes out on Sunday, but the video version comes out on Monday. This week I taught my Managing Your Manager course on the O'Reilly Learning Platform. That was fun. And my regular software design course at Trinity. But of course, this was also Thanksgiving week, so we only met once. Regular readers of and listeners to, and of course, video viewers of this newsletter are affectionately known as jarheads and are far more intelligent, sophisticated, and of course, attractive than the average newsletter reader or listener or viewer. If you wish to become a jarhead, please feel free to subscribe using the button in the newsletter or on Substack. It's at kencousin.substack.com. Let's take a look very briefly at the YouTube channel and see how that's doing. You can see here that we are up to 915 subscribers now. So that's pretty cool. We broke 900 there and kept going a little bit. The big event this week, if I go to the video section down here, is I published this video called When Your Own Custom GPT Won't Behave. And that's what I want to talk to you about briefly. To support that effort as well, I also made a YouTube short called When My Custom GPT Is Wrong. And that was basically a snippet from the overall video that specifically talked about the fact that, well, here, let me just summarize. If you ask ChatGPT a question and it gives you the wrong answer, well, you're going to blame ChatGPT or maybe OpenAI. But if I give you a custom GPT trained on my own work and it gives you a wrong answer, you're going to get mad at me. You're going to think that whatever it says is whatever I intended. And it's remarkable how little control you have over what those custom GPTs say. With that in mind, let's go to the actual newsletter. So I made my own custom GPT, which is called Mockito Mentor, as it turns out. So at the conference, when Sam Altman did his big exposition about the ability to create custom GPTs, he said, yeah, now you could do that even as a non-programmer, which is, for those of us who are developers, that's a red flag right there, but okay. He says, uses information you supply and follows instructions you give it. So the wizard allows you to just customize that, and it will set up the instructions and help you upload your files, and then it's ready to go. So early in the week, I received an email from LeanPub, the self-publication site that a lot of people use to publish their books. And it said, hey, you know, these custom GPTs, these could be great for marketing your own books. So you might want to make one. And if you don't feel like making one or you're not sure how to make one or whatever, we'd be happy to make it for you for a small fee. Yeah. For a site that really helps you market your own stuff, they really do never miss an opportunity to ask for money. Anyway, I thought, well, it can't be that hard to do, right? So I went out to, and here, let me just show you. This is the site, ChatGPT, chat.openai.com, and there's regular ChatGPT, which is what it defaults to now, and there's an Explore button, but right in between, this is the one I made, called Mockito Mentor. And I could go in and I could edit it, or I could explore here. If I go to the Explore button, then there's the little wizard to create a GPT, and I've made a couple of them for some reason. This was just an experiment. And this was, actually, this is the one I made for the video, and I haven't yet deleted it. It was just basically as a demo of the process. If you're interested in the process, take a look at the overall video. I don't want to go into all that detail right now, but it's easy enough to do. And if I want to use it, I just click on the button, and it generated the little icon for me. It's got this information. It's got some sample questions, and I could ask things like, Where would I find the source code for the book? And it says the source code examples from the book Mockito Made Clear can be found in the GitHub repository associated with the book. You can access this repository and if I was to click on that link, I think that's correct. Yep, that's the actual correct source code repository. The repository should contain various code samples and examples that are discussed in the book, providing a practical resource for understanding and applying the concepts involved. So, I mean, it's something. It's kind of nice. And I could ask it questions and try things out. And if you're interested, I put a link in the newsletter, but I'll put a link in the description of this video as well to Mockito Mentor. Now, I don't know if you can use this unless you are already a GPT premium, the OpenAI premium subscriber, because I'm not sure you have access to plugins otherwise. But if you do, be my guest. Let me know how it does. So I described all that. I put in this nice little thumbnail with me basically being horrified at the answers being given by the GPT that I made, right? The title of the video is basically on the cover. It says, "Don't blame me for my GPT," right? When your custom GPT won't behave. And I just described what I just told you about. And then again, the bottom line, if you ask a GPT a question, it gives a wrong answer, you blame it or OpenAI. But if I give you a custom GPT with my name on it and everything, and it gives the wrong answer, you're going to blame me. And I don't think all the people developing those GPTs realize this yet. So you don't really have as much control over that AI as you think you do. And I'm not surprised, actually. So you give it priorities, data, and specific instructions, and it still goes its own way. So after publishing that, I also extracted the little short, what to do when the custom GPT is wrong. You can take a look at that if you're interested. That's something I can do with that Descript video editing tool. It allows you to import a video and reframe it and create portrait mode and transcribe it and all the nice little things. It's got lots of AI tools built in too. It's been a while since I published a short, so that was kind of fun, but that's there too. Okay. Oh, I did point out, if you do try out Mockito Mentor, be sure to ask it for a coupon code for purchasing the book if you're interested. I should mention that OpenAI also has a programming model called AI Assistants, and I think I put a link in there too. Let me open that in another tab. And yes, this is the Assistants API, and it's not exactly clear what the relationship of this Assistants AI is to the GPTs, the custom GPTs that you could make using the wizard. This one you do have to do programmatically. You create an assistant, you create a thread to do the interaction, you send messages back and forth, you run it all, and there's a lot of steps to this. And again, they're showing curl as a way to do it. Eventually, I'm going to write about this as well. I think the biggest difference at this point, at least for me, is that here I could make something that I could then access programmatically. And that way I don't necessarily have to give it out to the world. I could give it to a representative and have them use it to get answers to their questions and then provide it to other people. It's a programmatic API that I could then incorporate into my system or make available to third-party clients. So I haven't figured out how really they connect, but I think I'll be looking at that next when I stick with this AI stuff. The other thing is that while they didn't announce how many GPTs there were, I mean, after all, it was November 6th, I believe, was the day of the presentation, and I think I got my ability to create a GPT later in that week, so a day or two later. We're less than 3 weeks from then, and the estimates are there's already 15 to 20,000 of these things. There's supposed to be a GPT store too, but of course all plans got put on hold when the chaos erupted at OpenAI, and I don't think we have any clear guidance yet as to what's going to happen in the future on that. They're still trying to figure out what the heck they're doing, so we'll see. Okay, let's move on. It's interesting enough, and again, please feel free to contact me about any of that. Next section. Cool Spring Boot release, but yikes. Now, I actually was looking forward to the Spring Boot 3.2 release because there's two features in it that I'll mention later that I think are really nice. One is this REST client API, and the other is a JDBC client API, and both of those look to be really slick. But here's the thing. This is a snapshot taken of the so-called Spring initializer at start.spring.io as it was updated on Thursday. On Wednesday, it didn't look like this. On Thursday, Thanksgiving Day in the US, this is what it looked like. And the two blue boxes are the parts I want to call to your attention. Notice in this top blue box here, the only versions of Spring Boot available all start with the number 3. There are no 2.x versions available at all. And this is important because 3 requires Java 17. And that brings us to the bottom blue box down here, which lets you select your Java version. You either pick 17 or 21. In other words, if you or your company is stuck working with an earlier version of Java than 17, you're out of luck. You can't make a new Spring application. Let me close this. In fact, what I want to show you here is this is a project that I have that I've been updating for the latest version. And if I went into IntelliJ IDEA and said new project and looked at the Spring initializer, then if I just said next, notice again, that's it. It's just going to start.spring.io. You have no choice other than Spring Boot 3.2 or 3.1. Those are your only choices. And therefore, you must be on Java 17 or 21 in order to use it. That's a bold move. I mean, I know that they want to move along and they don't want to have to support the older version. And Java 8 came out in 2014. It's almost, next year will be 10 years old. And Java 11's 5 years old. I get it. But here's the thing. I think roughly half the Java community is still on Java 8. And a lot of the people who are on 8 are on 11. I don't think Java 17 has more than 50 to 60% market penetration, and 60 would be on the really high end. I really don't know that many people on 17, and almost nobody's on 21. And Spring just said to all those people, you can't make a new Spring Boot app unless you upgrade to Java 17. I'm frankly shocked at that. I really find that incredible, that they would write off nearly half the community like that. And of course, all the social media posts are done by Spring people who are all thrilled by this, or by people who are keeping up with the times and are all eager to work with the latest versions of everything, and they think this is great. And I seem to be one of the few voices of dissent to go, what are you doing? I mean, I understand you not want to support those old versions, but that's what paid support plans are for. Only support them if they pay for it. But this is more than not supporting it. This is a prohibition. This is saying you cannot use those older Java versions anymore. You cannot make a new app on the older versions. Now, you probably can. You could probably go in the generated build file and manually drop down the version. But who's going to do that? And that's really harsh. Now, I checked Micronaut, and their little launch platform, their website that makes Micronaut apps, also apparently does 17 and 21, although I wonder if there's an older version of Micronaut that would handle it. Quarkus's starter allows 11 and 17, but not 8, or yet 21, interestingly enough. And Helidon actually requires 21, but that was the latest version of Helidon. I think there's older versions you could use. So I'm not sure what anybody else is doing, but this seems to be a trend. But boy, everybody's going to start looking at competitors now. Anyone who's on a Java version older than 17, it's going to wonder. Now, maybe I'm overreacting. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Please let me know in the comments. Now, coming back to Spring Boot 3.2, as I said, there's two classes I really like, the REST client and the JDBC client. Now, the JDBC client did something I didn't even realize at first. That's a synchronous replacement pretty much for the REST template. And it has pretty much the same methods and everything as web client. So it's just a synchronous version of web client, really. I think it's fine. I did use it. I put it in a project, and I'm going to run into a Spring class tomorrow morning where I'll try it out. But it wasn't all that different than using the regular classes. I didn't see anything different there. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm talking about the REST client here. Sorry about that. So the REST client, it's all right. But the JDBC client, at first, I thought it was a replacement for the JDBC template. And then I finally watched a video of Dan Vega's that I'd been meaning to watch for a while. And it turns out that you can replace your row mapper. You don't have to implement row mapper even with a Lambda if all that row mapper is doing is extracting a row from the result set and creating an object. You can just say the query method and put in the class of the object you want it to populate, and it'll generate it for you. That I didn't know about. That's sweet. That's really nice. So I'm looking forward to emphasizing that in my class that starts tomorrow. So the REST client, oh, and the other thing about the JDBC client, by the way, I thought you had to instantiate it from a JDBC template or a data source. Turns out you could auto wire that one right in and it'll all be set up for the regular data source. So wow, that's nice too. The REST client, that seems fine, and it is nice that you don't have to use Webflux even when using the HTTP interfaces now, the HTTP Exchange interfaces. Now you can do that with REST client as well. Seems nice. So I've updated my materials for that. I haven't updated all the labs yet, but I'll get to that. That's going to be useful to me. I don't know about all the other stuff in Spring Boot 3.2. That's why I was looking forward to the release, so expect a video on that stuff sometime in the future. Okay, next section. Q star. Oh my goodness. I'm going to mention this briefly. This is something that if you haven't heard about, you will. And if you haven't heard about this week and you don't hear too much this week, it's coming. It's probably going to be a big deal, especially because a lot of the press doesn't have any idea what's going on here. They don't understand it. And the people at OpenAI who are very, very excited about this have said very, very little about it. So we're in the middle of a hype train full of speculation. Most of the creditable people I've looked at, I've listened to or seen, suggest that Q star, it's pronounced Q star, is a new model that incorporates the Q learning algorithm from AI in order to have the large language model not just do pattern matching for everything, but make predictive plans that adjust in the face of obstacles. So you're not just saying, what's this look like? You're saying, I want to get from A to B, and here's a problem, and here's another problem, and here's another problem, and you watch it adjust and figure out the right algorithm to execute to get there. And then even better, it's supposedly able to take that algorithm that it learned on one problem and apply it to another one, which is kind of what people do. So this got a lot of people very excited. It makes it much better at handling math problems, which is something LLMs are notoriously weak at doing. Now, the rumor, and here's where we get into conspiracy theories, is that a week before all the chaos erupted at OpenAI, there was a big presentation for the bigwigs at OpenAI, including Sam Altman and others, that demonstrated the latest model there. Who knows if that's going to be GPT-5 or whatever, that had this Q-star algorithm built in, and that it was dazzling. It was a huge leap forward toward AGI, artificial general intelligence, the ultimate goal of the company. And this got some members of the board into a panic because, remember, they're not after making money. They're after the betterment of mankind, or whatever you want to say. And they were afraid that Sam Altman and his president there were going to go commercialize this without knowing what it was going to do. And therefore, that's why he got fired like that. Right? I mean, that's the idea. Now, there's no data to back this up. In fact, they have insisted it wasn't safety concerns that led to the firing. But it's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theorists don't need data. They don't need evidence. They just need inconsistencies and questions, and that's enough. So if this all sounds like massive hype, yeah, you're not alone. And the last thing the field of AI needs right now is more hype. It's awfully self-serving to say we were so good at building an AGI that it caused us problems. Yeah, I'm sure you were. How self-serving is that too? So, okay, we'll wait and see. But what I did like was some of the memes. This one here said, the OpenAI farce is just a ploy by Big Popcorn to sell more popcorn, which that was great. Or this one by Dave Wiskus, who's the head of the Nebula platform, saying if you're working on a movie streaming series about this OpenAI saga and need a title, the only correct answer is unprompted. There were also various gags about how they were criticizing Sam Altman for not being completely truthful, when what that's effectively saying is he didn't give the answers they were expecting or looking for, and that's GPT all over. So a lot of gags like that. This one pointed out it seems worth reiterating that the chaos roiling the tech sector today appears to come down to a conflict between two factions. One that is happy to boil the oceans and smother the world in nonsense if by doing so they can make a buck. That's the commercialization side. And another that believes they are building a literal robot god whose infinite power can only be constrained by the establishment of a completely unaccountable priesthood steeped in the ideology of their weird cult. Yeah, I can see that. That is kind of what's going on. And that's why I'm suspicious of all claims on both sides. That it's so easy to delude yourself into making more progress than you actually have. People see patterns everywhere, and they saw a pattern and now they're all excited. We'll wait. But my favorite toot of all was this one that posted Q star anon, which is a new algorithm and a conspiracy theory all in one toot. Beautifully done. Let's go to the tweets and toots. So this one said, where do you live? And it says more people live inside this circle than outside it. And of course, it's the Earth in a circle. Although some people would look at that and go, well, wait a minute, that's only one hemisphere. So I think this was the original idea. The Terrible Maps Twitter feed, which basically drew the entire world and put a big, well, that's not a circle exactly, but the big red oval around it. More people live inside the red circle than outside it. Yeah, I guess that's hard to live with. I mean, hard to argue with, pardon me. Easy to live with. I thought this was a pretty good pun. Say how to say hi in Mandarin, and of course they're all oranges that spell out hi, Yeah, hi back. I couldn't think of a good orange juice pun. This one, pizza, sort of, it says this is a picture of an Italian-American immigrant is held still and forced to watch in horror as pineapple is added to a pizza for the first time, 1914 in Brooklyn, New York. I have no idea what the original picture there was supposed to be or if any of that was photoshopped. It's like, oh my goodness. I have no idea what clue that was. It was pretty funny. This looks like an old New Yorker cartoon. Cats will stop at nothing. The caption says, fine. I think I can make that bigger. Fine, I'll get up and feed you. No need to get the lawyers involved. Yeah, I can see that. That's good too. Here with our little pandas, when it's your first time at the gym and you're not quite sure how the equipment works and it's lying over the post or upside down or whatever. Aw, adorable. And an old math nerd joke, I poured root beer in a square glass and now I just have beer, right? We squared the square root. But my favorite was this. Elon has lost his wife, his kids, $40 billion, and his spaceship just crashed. It's like a genre of country music that doesn't even exist yet. And somebody else pointed out beautifully that once the Cybertruck comes out and has full self-driving mode, his truck can leave him too, just to add more to the country music theme. Again, I mean, look at this monster. This is the picture off of the Tesla Cybertruck homepage. Somebody, and that somebody, of course, is Elon, thinks that looks good. Like that's attractive. Whereas to me, that looks like a 4-year-old's conception of what a car is supposed to look like. It's the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen. I can't look at it without going, what were they thinking? And they weren't. They were just listening to Elon. Okay, but I could easily picture that driving away in full self-driving mode with Elon running after it, crying, saying, no, I'll be good this time. Yeah. So, at any rate, that's this week's newsletter. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, and I'm glad you did this. This coming week is a very busy one for me. I already did a Gradle class today. I've got Spring and Spring Boot in 3 weeks, week 1 tomorrow, and Modern Java Functional Programming for No Fluff, and my software design course. And assuming everything goes well, I will see you all next week. So please subscribe and take care.
It's time to tune in to Tales from the Jar, so let's begin. Java, Kotlin, and Spring, oh my. Be Gradle, don't be shy. Tales from the jar side. Oh yeah. Crack open the code, let's take a ride. From design patterns to the latest trends. Your weekly tech talks that never end.